Thanks for tuning in to watch The Ordinary Filmmaker. It's Wednesday, October the 27th, 2021. And we've got a lot of news coming out today. I've already published a video at 3 o'clock in the morning, or was it 4 o'clock in the morning? I got up at 3. At 4 o'clock in the morning on the Panasonic GH6. I highly recommend you watch this. I'm not going to talk about the Panasonic GH6 now. This video is all about OM Digital. Or actually, they're not called OM Digital anymore. One of the biggest things that they presented in their announcement today, their presentation, is their new name, and I really like it. And as you can see here, the Olympus name certainly hasn't died out. But one thing they did say that really stuck to me is, our name may change, but who we are and what we stand for never will. We're here to break down technology barriers. And one thing I've liked about this new flavor of Olympus that was spun off into JIP and that is now OM Systems is they've always had a great vision. They've always been very good at communicating. So now let's talk about the WOW product. In the last couple of weeks, many of you said, well, it's not about a WOW camera, it's about a WOW capability. Well, to use OM Systems' own words, it's about a WOW product. They didn't get into a lot of details. They actually spoke at a very, very conceptual level. They spoke with the air is very, very thin. And what they kept talking about is a camera that will literally allow you to go anywhere, that is lightweight and compact. And they showed people climbing mountains. They showed all weather conditions, and they talked about all weather conditions. And my mind starts to wander a little bit and think, well, okay, if you really want to surprise me, don't just give me weather sealing. Don't just give me things like IP67 or IP68 that protects against the ingress of dust and water, but also give me shock resistance. Give me that ability to be able to shoot for hours and hours at a time without worrying about the battery dying. That's what I start to think. So I don't know really much more about this WOW product, this WOW camera that's going to be coming out. And based on this presentation, that here we are at the end of October, I don't think we're going to get any sort of announcement this year. I think we're going to have to wait until next year before we get an announcement. And then when will the product come? Well, that's really hard to say. But they were promising us a teaser video or a teaser late in this year, and I don't really consider this video presentation much in terms of a teaser. Like I said, it's very conceptual, it's very visionary, it's talking about where they want to go. But as a photographer or videographer, it doesn't give me enough to go, wow, this thing excites me. Visions are great, but a lot of times what we see in companies is, well, you can have a really good vision and you can even have a very good strategic plan. It's taking that plan, breaking it down at the tactical level, and then down to the operational level where things actually happen, and making sure that everything is strategically aligned. So without something a little bit more tangible, I'm kind of left wondering, what are we going to see? Is this more hype than reality? Is this just their way of saying when they come out with a new camera, they think it's wow because of all this, but when you look at the capabilities, it doesn't wow us personally. And that's what I'm really curious about. What do you think? What do you think is going to wow us with this new WOW product? And again, they're calling it a product now, not a camera, not a capability. So is it a camera? Is it a lens? It's really hard to say. Or is it a system? But one thing is, I do like the new name. But what do you think? What is it? I keep asking this question, but we don't seem to get the answers. What would you do if you were trying to create a WOW camera today in 2021 to release in 2022? We've got a lot of amazing cameras coming out this year. The Z9 is due to come out. We've got the R3 due to come out. And of course, we've already got the Sony Alpha 1. And personally, while I like the Sony Alpha 1, being able to do 10-bit 422 internal at all video resolutions, I think is very, very important. To be able to shoot at 30 frames per second in high resolution is very important. To have a good ISO, good dynamic range, to have all these capabilities working together seamlessly, regardless of weather, that is also very, very important. And one other thing I think is very, very important too is you could please do me a favor and like and subscribe. I take it as a I take it as a pat on the back, and I really do appreciate it, but seriously, it does help this channel grow. Now, one other thing I do want to talk about a little bit briefly, I mentioned at the beginning of this video that Panasonic came out with an announcement talking about Lumix earlier this morning, and I published this video here. I don't want to take too much away from that, but I had a lot of people that were a little bit sad and dejected. And whenever you get news that you're not exactly looking for, whenever you're promised something and you're expecting it to come out and it doesn't, that always leads to a bit of, well, what's going on? Where are they? And I can tell you personally from experience, I had the Canon 70D for 7 odd years, and I actually still have it. It's right here, and I still use it. But you see, around 2016, I was looking to upgrade this thing. I was looking to get the next new camera. And then there was rumors of the Canon 80D. And like you're watching this video now, I was watching videos and reading as much as I could to find out when the 80D came out. And when the 80D came out, I told myself if it had 4K, I was going to buy it. It didn't have 4K. All it had in terms of video, instead of just 30 frames per second in 1080, it could now do 60 frames per second. It wasn't a huge leap. So I waited another 3 years, assuming that the next iteration, the successor to the 80D, the 90D, would be that much better. And I got to say, from 2016 up until when the R5 was being rumored, I started looking at Sony, Panasonic, and others. I just didn't feel that Canon had what it was, they understood me, that they were interested in pleasing videographers. It was all about stills. But I stuck with it. I didn't want to get rid of all my lenses. I had a decent inventory in lenses. And if you're with Panasonic right now and you're a little bit disappointed by the announcement, just keep in mind, what is your vision? What are you trying to do? Are you willing to encounter that investment to switch? Because I know some of you are. Or will patience pay off? Will that GH6 be the stunning camera that we expect it to be? Now, some of you have asked, okay, Simon, is it because of the parts shortage, the shipping container issues, all the problems you talked about in this video right here? And that's a very good question. I do believe that has played a part, but I don't believe that's the reason. Sony was able to deliver the Alpha 1, a pretty impressive camera. And then, of course, they've just announced the Sony a7 IV. Canon has gone ahead and announced the R3, and of course, Nikon is getting ready to announce and release the Nikon Z9. So no, while I do believe that it's affected the schedule, we were supposed to get the GH6 last year, and Panasonic did promise us that we would be getting the GH6 in 2021. And that promise was right around the middle of the year. So yes, I do believe there are so many issues with supply shortages, with shipping, the whole logistics supply chain, but I don't believe that is the sole reason why we don't have an announcement. If this camera was far enough in development, then they could do an announcement and say it should be here sometime in March. They could do something like Canon did with the R5, constantly leaking it for 5 months last year before, hey, here it is. And of course, Nikon with the Z9 teasing us and leaking stuff for the last 4 or 5 weeks. But Panasonic hasn't chosen to do that. So it is a little bit disappointing, but stay tuned. As soon as news breaks, I will get out there and publish, so subscribe so you get the latest information. As you can see from the Panasonic video, I published that about 4 in the morning. So I am watching news all around the clock. Even when I get up for a bathroom break, I'm there checking to see, is there anything significant that I need to let you know about? But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.